So in the early part of my creative career, I helped a lot of people with their creative growth. At the same time, I was scared to look at my own bank account. And I think that I was so focused on the creative output, just assumed that the money would work itself out in the background. I didn't think that I needed to keep an eye on it or manage it. And over time, I realized that I needed a mind shift and that sort of mindset was keeping me stuck. And so in this video, I want to share a very vulnerable story about my relationship with money and how that affected my creative career, and 3 ways that I moved through that mindset to more of an abundance mindset that has really helped me step into who I'm becoming. Because it's progress over perfection, right? Like, I'm never going to ultimately get there. Where is there? So it's a practice, I guess is my point. And if this resonates with you, stay and watch until the end, because I'm going to teach you these 3 tips that have really helped me with this mind shift. Hi, I'm LJ, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to Compassion Rocks. I help creative entrepreneurs, founders, side hustlers figure out what sustainably successful careers look like in the creative industries. So if you work in music, media, the arts, and entertainment, you have come to the right place. And here on this channel, I share tips and tricks and hacks and sometimes free full-length workshops. So if this sounds good to you, please like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your support so much, and it helps me continue to create this good content. Okay, so let's get into the video. So when I was 19, I became a professional ballroom dancer, and I was both a ballroom dance instructor and a performer. Soon after, I became a professional competitor. I had a dance partner, and we competed in professional ballroom dancing. And I had a lot of students, and I was a really, if I do say so myself, even at that young age, because I had been teaching ballet since my early teen years to anybody who wanted to learn, I was a pretty good teacher. And I was making $15 an hour at this ballroom dance studio. And my dance partner, who was working for himself at the time, turned to me and said, "Hey, why don't you go to work for yourself? Like, you know the ropes now. Why don't you go to work for yourself? You make a lot more money." That was appealing to me because I was struggling at $15 an hour. I was struggling to make ends meet. I figured out the first steps to starting a business and becoming an independent contractor, putting ads in the yellow book pages. Oh my gosh, the yellow pages, dating myself. And I started to get business. I started to get a lot of business, and I was charging way more than $15 an hour. And the money started to come in. And for a 19-year-old, I had never had money. My relationship with money stems back to childhood, as I think most people's relationship with money is probably a similar story. We adopt and are conditioned to relate to money the way we were brought up in our home. We didn't have money growing up. We weren't homeless, thank goodness, but we were middle lower class. We always had food on the table, and we always had the lights on. I learned what I was modeled, and that was, the most important things, like the electricity and food bills are paid, and everything else sort of takes a back seat. Going back to what I was saying about being 19 and starting to earn a lot of money, I never had money. It was money came in and we'd spend it. At least, again, that was my perception. And so I put that immediately into practice. As soon as money came in, I spent it. At the end of the day, when I did look at my bank account, there was nothing there. There was nothing there. I had nothing to show for all the work, the hard work that I had put in to earn that money. The role that money had in my career just, it didn't have a role. I mean, it was a means to just to keep going, so that I could keep dancing. And this changed when I got hurt. I was hurt during a dance performance, and I was dropped during a show, and the money stopped. At the time, I had grown my independent contracting business to a booking agency where I was booking dancers and I was booking musicians, including the band that I was in. I was also in a band. and other musicians and artists. And that was bringing in some income, but it wasn't my bread and butter. And so the lesson that I learned in that moment was you can't put all your eggs in one basket if you're going to be a freelancer or an independent contractor, especially if your body is the business. Sorry to sound so crass, but as a dancer, if you can't dance, you're not making a living. Things stopped rather abruptly, and I had to figure out what role money was going to play in my life moving forward. I realized that money was controlling me rather than me being responsible for it. And controlling money isn't the way to discuss it, but rather it was more about what would it look like to be responsible for it, to care for it. As though, sorry, I know this sounds funny, but as though it was like a kid, as though it was a child. To care for my money as though it was a child, something that I could take care of and cultivate and grow. This with the same care that I would give, my creative output. So moving into this first mind shift, the way that I was thinking, I definitely need to talk to some people about money who know about money. I need to teach myself about what it means to steward money, be responsible for my money for once. It wasn't that it was spiraling out of control. I always made enough money to pay my bills. I've always been able to stand on my own 2 feet. Interestingly enough, I think I learned that from my parents. I'm very strategic and I'm very resourceful, and those tools have been very helpful to me along the way. But I wanted more. I wanted more than that. I didn't want the idea of money to take on a life of its own behind the scenes, where I had no sense of what was going on, and I wanted to care for it. So the shift was, wow, I have a really big opportunity here to care for this with the same amount of intention and energy as I do for my creativity. And I put a lot of energy into my creativity. One of the old mindsets was, I guess, shifting from fear of losing control. I was out of control. I had no idea what was going on with my money. No budgeting experience or anything like that. Fear of that, and then shifting into, one of care. I love this. I mean, what a wonderful, beautiful opportunity to also practice self-compassion, which is a lot of what we talk about on this channel. Just an interesting way to think about things, to think about money. I want to invite you to think about how you think about money, right? What's your relationship to money? Where is there an area where you can increase your care about money, your care for money? This isn't me signaling to you that you need to be bottom line driven only. That's not what we talk about here on this channel. This channel is about emotional intelligence and compassion and resilience and all the soft skills that go into play to support a successful career. But it is a career, it's not a hobby. And so when we talk about being creative entrepreneurs, when we talk about being founders, when we talk about being side hustlers, we should also include money. And what would it look like to feel like we have an innate sense of responsibility for our money? Second shift is going from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. I wasn't looking at my bank account because I was scared. Full stop. I was scared at what I might see. I was ashamed of myself as to what that would mean to me and also for me. And also, God forbid anybody else look at my bank account, how I would be judged or viewed in a negative light. And gosh, does any of this resonate with you? If it does, please share in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to hear about your story of how you think about moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, or what you think about that for yourself. I knew I deserved to make money doing what I loved. I knew it. I played dumb. I played this person that, ignorance is bliss. If I don't actually know what's going on with my money, then I don't have to be responsible for it. And I think I told myself the story that I wasn't good with money. I wasn't good with it. I knew how to make money. I knew how to ask for money. I was great with contracts. I spent a good portion of my career negotiating contracts. But when it came to managing my own money, caring for my money, I think I told myself the story that I wasn't good at it, and I believed it. So moving from a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset was me saying, this is something I can get good at. This is something I can get good at. Probably not overnight, but just like other things that I've done in my life and in my career, I have figured it out through lots of research, talking to other people and experts, learning from my mistakes and doing it differently moving forward. There are lots of ways that I can get good at being a steward for my money. That was the second mind shift, and that was huge. I'll be honest, I am not perfect with this shift. Sometimes I catch myself slipping back to my old ways, and I have to have a mindful moment. I like to call it a mindful moment here on this channel, but it's a mindful moment of self-awareness where I'm like, oh, I'm starting to have an old narrative about money. Let's take some time to just sit and appreciate how far I've come and what's one step that I might be able to take in the next 7 days, just in the next 7 days, that will positively impact my ability to care for my money. Self-coaching. Great question, by the way. Very powerful question. It's a question that I use with a lot of my clients, and I use it on myself, and it really works. The third shift that I want to share with you is going from chaos, or at least it felt like chaos, to systems thinking. Something that I am so proud of about myself and my own career was this shift from being crisis manager. Oh shit, I have to take care of this right now. Drop everything. I have to fix because I let things spiral. 2, I'm going to put a system in place that houses a process that allows me to proactively move forward so that I don't have to be a crisis manager, or I can mitigate being a crisis manager as much as possible. This has been a huge game changer for me. I actually feel the stress coming off of my shoulders just talking about it. If you have any questions about systems thinking, then you've come to the right place, because we do a lot of this at Comuse. So I run a mindful business community called Comuse for creative entrepreneurs and founders and side hustlers who work in the creative industries. And every month we have a different topic and theme that we focus on, and we do a lot of career support, community, and coaching. It's a beautiful community. So if this sounds like something that you're ready for, you want to work a little bit more deeply in setting up systems for yourself that are impactful and powerful and really going to help shift your career, consider joining the community, and I'll drop the link in the description box below. There's a lot of work, inner work, and a self-awareness that we have to do in order to put change into a practice. And sometimes we slip, and that's okay. I honestly think that that's part of the journey. Progress over perfection. I know I've said it like a million times already, but it really makes a big difference. And I invite you to be on this journey with me. It's fun to see yourself grow like this. Not always easy. That's why we have support and we have each other in community. It's a really big tenet of what we do. But because watching yourself improve is part of the creative process, and that includes how we care for our money. So I hope that this resonates. I hope this is helpful to you. Again, if you're interested in doing some deeper work, come join the community. We would love to have you. You don't have to do this alone. That's all I gotta say. You do not have to do this alone. You are not alone. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.